What if the very thing you keep avoiding is the key to unlocking your next level of success? Every day, we face a choice to confront the difficult, uncomfortable, and challenging tasks, or to hide behind the easy ones that feel safe but keep us stagnant. Think about it. When was the last time you pushed through fear, discomfort, or resistance and came out stronger? Growth doesn't come from shortcuts. It comes from doing the hard things first. This is where discipline is born, where confidence is built, and where greatness begins. Are you ready to face what matters most? The hardest task is often the one that weighs heaviest on your mind, the one you keep pushing aside because it feels uncomfortable, intimidating, or simply exhausting. Yet, the moment you decide to face it head-on, something powerful happens. The rest of your day suddenly feels lighter. Think about it. When you wake up and immediately confront the challenge you've been dreading, you break through the mental barrier of procrastination. You prove to yourself that you can handle more than you think, and with that proof comes momentum. That momentum doesn't just affect one task. It spills over into everything else you do, creating a sense of flow and productivity that builds throughout the day. The hardest task carries the greatest weight, and when you remove it early, you free your mind from the burden of constantly thinking about it. Instead of dragging it behind you like a heavy chain, you release it and move forward with energy and clarity. It's like climbing the steepest part of the mountain first. Once you've conquered that, the path ahead feels more manageable, even enjoyable. By tackling the hardest task first, you transform pressure into progress and fear into confidence. Every action afterward seems easier, not because the work itself changed, but because you did. You've proven to yourself that discipline wins over hesitation, and that strength comes from facing difficulty, not avoiding it. This simple shift in choice rewires your day, turning potential struggle into a series of victories that compound. Instead of being drained by avoidance, you're fueled by accomplishment, and that energy pushes you further, faster, and with more certainty than ever before. Comfort zones are seductive because they promise safety, familiarity, and ease, but behind that comfort lies the silent death of growth and ambition. Every dream that feels too far away remains trapped because the person holding it refuses to step outside the walls of what feels safe. The truth is, nothing extraordinary has ever been built inside a comfort zone, and no life-changing goal has ever been achieved without embracing discomfort. When you step into the hard first, you send a signal to yourself that you are not ruled by fear, that you choose progress over stagnation. The hard things are not obstacles to your dreams, they are the stepping stones to achieving them. Each time you confront difficulty, instead of running from it, you expand what you're capable of. The edge of your comfort zone is like a muscle. Push against it, and it grows stronger. Retreat from it, and it shrinks. Stepping into the hard tasks trains you to welcome challenge rather than dread it, because you know it carries the keys to your next level. Dreams demand sacrifice, and the first sacrifice is always comfort. It might be painful, uncertain, or even intimidating, but it is in those moments of discomfort that resilience is built and new possibilities emerge. The very things you avoid out of fear are often the exact things that could accelerate your progress and transform your life. Choosing to step into the hard first allows you to break the cycle of hesitation and self-doubt, replacing it with action and confidence. You cannot expect extraordinary outcomes while clinging to ordinary habits, and the moment you embrace discomfort, you breathe life back into your dreams. Discipline is not forged in moments of ease, but in the fire of discomfort where your body wants to stop and your mind begs for relief, yet you choose to continue. It is in those moments of resistance, when quitting feels justified and excuses sound convincing, that true discipline is born. Anyone can follow through when things are simple, when energy is high and motivation flows naturally. But the strength that lasts a lifetime is built when the conditions are far from ideal. Discomfort is the training ground that strips away the illusion of weakness and reveals what you are truly capable of. Every time you endure struggle instead of avoiding it, you reinforce a powerful identity. You become someone who keeps promises to themselves even when it hurts. This is the foundation of self-mastery, because discipline is not about perfection. It is about consistency in the face of difficulty. The discomfort itself becomes proof that you are on the right path, because growth never feels comfortable while it is happening. Each choice to stay in the discomfort and follow through adds another layer of strength to your character, and soon what once felt impossible becomes second nature. Discipline grows strongest not in comfort but in resistance, because it forces you to align your actions with your values rather than your emotions. By pushing through discomfort, you train your mind to act on commitment rather than impulse, and that shift changes everything. When you understand that the presence of discomfort is not a signal to stop but a call to rise, you unlock the type of discipline that carries you through challenges, setbacks, and the long journey toward the life you want to build. Resistance is the invisible wall that greets you at the start of any meaningful task, the weight that makes beginning feel heavier than it truly is. Left unchecked, resistance grows stronger, feeding off hesitation and delay until it becomes an almost immovable barrier. But when you choose to face it early, before fear has time to multiply and excuses have time to root themselves, you take control of the battle. The first step, though difficult, is always the most important because it creates momentum. Momentum is powerful. It transforms effort into flow and turns struggle into rhythm. Once you push through resistance at the beginning, each action that follows becomes easier, not because the work itself changes, but because you have already shifted your state from hesitation to execution. Facing resistance early means you no longer waste energy negotiating with yourself or battling inner doubt. Instead, you direct that energy into progress. Think of it like pushing a heavy object. At first, the force required feels overwhelming, but once it begins to move, it carries forward with far less effort. The same principle applies to your goals, habits, and commitments. Procrastination keeps resistance alive, but courage in the early moments crushes it and frees you to move with clarity and focus. By starting hard and starting early, you send a powerful message to yourself that you are in control, that you are stronger than the doubts trying to hold you back. The momentum created from conquering resistance doesn't just affect one task, it spills into the rest of your day, fueling productivity and confidence. Each time you beat resistance at the start, you make the path ahead smoother, faster, and far more rewarding. Life has a way of balancing itself through the choices we make, and nowhere is this more evident than in the contrast between hard choices and easy ones. The hard choices are the ones that demand sacrifice, discipline, and courage in the present moment, while offering rewards that may not come instantly. Waking up early to work on your goals, saying no to temptations that derail your progress, saving money instead of spending it recklessly, training your body and mind when rest seems more appealing. All of these are hard in the short term, but they build a future of freedom, strength, and opportunity. On the other hand, easy choices may feel good now, but they often create struggle later. Skipping the workout, indulging in instant gratification, procrastinating on important work, avoiding uncomfortable conversations, all of these give temporary relief while planting seeds of regret and difficulty. Hard choices force you to grow, to become resilient, and to prepare yourself for challenges that others shy away from, and that preparation pays off in the form of an easier, more fulfilling life down the road. Easy lives are rarely built in the moment of comfort. They are the result of countless moments of discomfort willingly embraced. When you choose the hard path today, you are giving your future self the gift of freedom, freedom from regret, from avoidable struggles, and from the limitations that come from taking the easy way out. Every hard choice is an investment, a deposit into the bank of your future, and over time it compounds into success, stability, and peace. Hard choices now create easy lives later because the discipline of today becomes the reward of tomorrow. Easy choices are tempting because they offer quick relief, instant gratification, and the illusion of comfort. But the truth is they often come with hidden costs that only reveal themselves over time. Choosing to sleep in instead of rising early to pursue your goals feels harmless in the moment, but repeated often enough, it builds a habit of neglect. Spending money recklessly may bring fleeting joy, yet it steals future security and peace of mind. Avoiding difficult conversations might spare you temporary discomfort, but it allows problems to grow until they become crises. Each easy choice plants a seed that matures into harder challenges down the road, and the more often you surrender to the easy path, the more difficult your life becomes. Hard lives are not created overnight. They are the compounded result of small, easy choices made again and again. The easy way rarely asks you to grow, to stretch, or to confront your weaknesses, and that is exactly why it leads to struggle later. A life filled with hard realities is often just the delayed consequence of avoiding short-term discomfort. By choosing ease now, you trade away resilience, opportunity, and progress for momentary satisfaction, and in doing so, you rob your future self of strength and freedom. The irony is that the harder life eventually comes not from struggle, but from the absence of it, because avoiding challenge prevents you from building the tools to overcome it. Easy choices create hard lives later, because the path of least resistance never leads to the destination you truly want. Every shortcut taken now turns into a longer, more painful road in the future, and every comfort chosen today can become a chain that binds you tomorrow. The tasks you dread are often the ones that hold the greatest potential for growth, not because they are pleasant, but because they demand you face fear, resistance, and self-doubt head-on. When you deliberately step into what you would rather avoid, you prove to yourself that fear does not control you. Each time you take action in the face of dread, you dismantle the power it has over your mind, and with that dismantling comes confidence. True confidence is not built by doing what is easy or familiar. It is forged by leaning into discomfort and showing yourself that you can survive, endure, and even thrive in situations that once intimidated you. Doing what you dread transforms your self-image because it turns "I can't" into "I did." That shift becomes a powerful anchor for future challenges, reminding you that you have already faced difficulty and come out stronger. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes simply another task, and your belief in your own strength grows unshakable. Confidence built this way is not fragile or dependent on external validation. It comes from undeniable evidence that you can do hard things. Every dreaded task completed becomes proof of your resilience, a victory that cannot be taken away from you. The more you choose to do what scares or overwhelms you, the less those feelings dictate your life. Instead of shrinking away, you expand into new levels of courage and ability. Doing what you dread creates a feedback loop of growth. Fear leads to action. Action leads to strength, and strength leads to confidence that nothing can shake. The very things you once feared become the foundation of the unbreakable belief that you can handle whatever comes your way. Fear has a way of growing in the shadows of avoidance, feeding on every moment you delay taking action. The longer you put something off, the larger it looms in your mind, turning a manageable challenge into a seemingly insurmountable obstacle. Avoidance doesn't protect you, it magnifies the fear, making it heavier to carry each day you ignore it. Action, however small, begins to dissolve that fear instantly because fear cannot survive when faced with proof of your courage. The moment you take a step, the fog lifts, and what once felt impossible becomes tangible, real, and far less intimidating. Action is the antidote to overthinking because it replaces imagination with experience. Instead of replaying endless worst-case scenarios, you gather evidence that you are capable, strong, and resourceful. Each movement forward weakens fear's grip and builds momentum toward progress. Avoidance traps you in cycles of hesitation, but action creates clarity and momentum that open the door to confidence. Even imperfect action chips away at fear's foundation, reminding you that fear was never the enemy, the lack of action was. The simple truth is that you cannot think your way into courage, you act your way into it. Every time you choose to step forward instead of stepping back, you train your mind to respond with strength rather than retreat. Fear loses its power when confronted because most of it exists only in the mind, and action exposes that illusion. The more often you replace avoidance with decisive movement, the more resilient you become, and soon fear no longer controls your choices. Avoidance multiplies fear because it strengthens the unknown, but action dissolves it because it shines a light on reality and proves that you are more powerful than your doubts. Procrastination feels light in the moment, like a small decision to delay, but it carries a hidden weight that grows heavier with every passing hour and day. The task you avoid doesn't disappear. It lingers in the back of your mind, draining energy, focus, and peace. The mental burden of unfinished work often becomes far greater than the actual effort required to complete it. Effort is temporary, but procrastination creates a constant, nagging pressure that follows you everywhere, making even rest feel restless. You can try to distract yourself, but the thought of what you haven't done always returns, stealing joy from the present. When you finally begin, you often realize the task was never as hard as your mind made it seem, and the weight you carried for days or weeks lifts in moments. The truth is that effort, while sometimes uncomfortable, is liberating because it moves you forward, while procrastination chains you to inaction and self-doubt. Every delay compounds the stress, while every action, no matter how small, lightens the load and gives you back control. The energy spent avoiding is far more exhausting than the energy spent doing. Effort creates momentum, a sense of progress, and even pride, while procrastination feeds guilt, anxiety, and regret. Choosing effort over delay is not just about productivity. It is about freeing yourself from the invisible weight that keeps you stuck. The heaviest burden is not the work itself, but the mental resistance to starting it. When you finally face it, you discover that effort is lighter than you imagined, and that progress feels far better than avoidance ever could. The weight of procrastination is heavier than effort, because the cost of delay grows while the reward of action is immediate. Excuses are the mind's way of protecting comfort, offering seemingly logical reasons to avoid the discomfort of effort, but hard work dismantles that pattern and rewires your thinking. Each time you commit to hard work despite resistance, you prove to yourself that excuses are nothing more than temporary thoughts with no real power. The more you practice showing up, the less persuasive those excuses become, because your mind starts to associate effort with growth rather than struggle. Hard work is not just about achieving results. It is about training your mind to push past the mental barriers that whisper you are too tired, too busy, or not ready. Every rep in the gym, every late-night study session, every extra hour of focused effort is a direct confrontation with the excuses that once held you back. Over time, your tolerance for discomfort grows, and with it, your ability to act without hesitation. Excuses thrive on hesitation, but hard work builds decisiveness, replacing doubt with momentum. Each time you rise above an excuse, you strengthen your discipline, and that discipline compounds into unstoppable confidence. Hard work teaches that circumstances don't define you. Your response does. When the voice of resistance tells you to stop, hard work answers with action, and eventually that voice becomes quieter, weaker, and easier to ignore. The mind trained by effort learns resilience, persistence, and focus, while the mind trained by excuses learns avoidance, regret, and stagnation. By embracing hard work, you create a new standard for yourself, one where excuses no longer dictate your behavior. Hard work becomes the proof that you are stronger than your reasons, and that strength carries into every challenge, every goal, and every moment that requires you to choose between comfort and progress. Every challenge you face, is more than just an obstacle. It is an opportunity to collect evidence of your own resilience and capability. When you push through difficulty and come out on the other side, you carry with you undeniable proof that you are stronger than you once believed. Each conquered challenge becomes a story etched into your memory, a reminder that you have already endured, already fought, and already overcome. This proof builds confidence in a way that words or encouragement alone never can, because it is rooted in lived experience. It is easy to doubt yourself before the storm, to wonder if you have what it takes, but once you weather it, the doubt fades and pride takes its place. Every challenge faced and conquered becomes a brick in the foundation of unshakable self-belief. That belief is not built overnight, but through a collection of victories, big and small, that remind you of your ability to persevere. Even when a challenge feels overwhelming in the moment, completing it turns it into proof of growth, proof that the limits you once thought defined you are actually much further than you imagined. Over time, these proofs accumulate, and they change the way you see yourself. Instead of approaching new challenges with fear, you approach them with trust in your ability to handle them. You know you have done it before, and you can do it again. Strength is not measured by the absence of struggle, but by your willingness to confront it and your ability to endure it. Every challenge conquered becomes living evidence that you are capable of rising higher, pushing further, and becoming stronger than your past self could have imagined. The beginning is often the hardest part of any journey, not because the first step requires the most skill, but because it demands the most courage. Starting something new feels uncertain, uncomfortable, and heavy with doubt, which is why so many people hesitate at the threshold of their goals. Yet it is precisely in taking that first difficult step that doors begin to open, revealing opportunities that were invisible before action was taken. The world has a way of responding to movement. When you act, even imperfectly, you set in motion a chain of events that would have remained locked if you stayed still. That first step breaks inertia, shatters fear, and creates momentum where there was none. It may be painful, awkward, or filled with mistakes, but it is far more powerful than endless planning or waiting for the perfect time. Every great success story begins with someone who dared to move despite the discomfort of uncertainty. The first step is not about mastery, it is about willingness. When you choose to take it, you show yourself that courage outweighs hesitation, and that act of bravery changes the trajectory of your life. What once seemed distant and unattainable suddenly begins to unfold because one small action leads to another, and each action reveals possibilities that could never be seen from a place of inaction. Opportunities are rarely handed to those who wait passively. They reveal themselves to those who move, to those who are willing to risk failure in order to grow. Difficult first steps may feel like climbing a steep hill, but once you cross them, you gain perspective and strength that make the next steps easier. Each beginning expands your vision, connects you with new people, and opens paths you could not have imagined. The courage to start transforms hesitation into progress, and progress creates opportunities that multiply over time. The very act of starting gives birth to momentum, and momentum builds into transformation. Difficult first steps are the keys to doors that remain locked to those who never move, and behind those doors lie endless opportunities waiting to be claimed. Character is not formed in moments of comfort, but in the trials that test your patience, discipline, and resilience. Just as fire is necessary to shape and strengthen steel, hard things are necessary to shape and strengthen who you are. When life presents challenges, it offers you the chance to refine your values, to prove your commitment, and to deepen your inner strength. Without resistance, steel remains weak, and without hardship, character remains untested. It is the pressure, the struggle, and the heat of difficulty that transform you from ordinary to extraordinary. Every time you face something hard, you are given the opportunity to shed the parts of yourself that no longer serve you. Fear, doubt, and excuses, and replace them with courage, perseverance, and self-belief. Hard things strip away comfort and illusion, exposing your true nature. They force you to confront your weaknesses while giving you the chance to develop strengths you never knew you had. Like steel in the fire, you may feel the burn of struggle, but it is that very burn that strengthens you. When you endure what is difficult, you learn patience when progress is slow, determination when setbacks appear, and humility when you realize growth is a continual process. These qualities cannot be faked or fast-tracked. They are earned only through facing what is hard and refusing to retreat. Every challenge you overcome becomes part of your character, adding layers of resilience and depth that comfort alone could never provide. The people with the strongest character are not those who have lived the easiest lives, but those who have walked through fire and emerged sharper, stronger, and more focused. Hard things do not weaken you, they refine you, making your foundation unshakable. Just as steel is useless without being tested by fire, your character remains incomplete until it has been shaped by difficulty. What feels painful today becomes strength tomorrow, and what feels overwhelming now becomes the very story that defines your resilience. Hard things are not punishments but opportunities for transformation, sharpening you into someone capable of facing greater challenges and building a life that comfort alone could never create. Courage is not something you are simply born with. It is something that develops through repeated choices, especially the choice to take the harder path when the easier one is available. Every time you step toward difficulty instead of retreating to safety, you add another layer to your inner strength. Courage is like a muscle, and the only way it grows is by being used, stretched and tested. The hard path demands more of you, but it also gives back more than the easy road ever could. When you choose the hard path, you are not just building skill or achieving a goal. You are training your spirit to stand firm in the face of fear and uncertainty. At first, the hard path feels intimidating because it carries risk, effort, and discomfort, but with every step you take, the fear that once held you back begins to fade. What once felt impossible becomes manageable, and what once seemed terrifying becomes another proof of your resilience. Courage grows because you show yourself again and again that you are capable of enduring more than you thought. The small wins accumulate, and soon the idea of stepping into challenge no longer feels extraordinary but natural. Each choice to face difficulty instead of avoiding it rewrites the way you see yourself. You stop identifying as someone who hesitates and start identifying as someone who acts, and that shift in self-perception changes everything. Courage is not about being fearless, it is about acting despite the fear, about valuing growth more than comfort. Every hard decision you make becomes a seed of confidence that grows stronger with time, preparing you for even greater challenges ahead. The path of least resistance may seem attractive in the short term, but it leaves courage undeveloped. Only the hard path forges bravery because it teaches you to endure, to persist, and to rise. Each time you face it, you expand your capacity for risk, resilience, and growth. Courage multiplies through action, and action on the hard path ensures that you never remain the same person you were before you started. Choosing the harder way is how courage evolves from a fragile spark into an unstoppable fire. Pain in the present moment often feels unbearable, like a weight you would rather avoid, but hidden inside that pain is the seed of pride that will bloom tomorrow. The struggle, the sweat, the long nights, the sacrifices, all of it may feel overwhelming while you are in the middle of it, yet these are the very moments that create stories of victory and resilience. Pain is not permanent, but the lessons and strength it leaves behind last a lifetime. When you willingly embrace difficulty today, you are building a foundation for the pride that will fill you when you look back and realize you endured what once felt impossible. Every athlete who pushes through exhaustion, every student who studies through sleepless nights, every entrepreneur who works through failure knows that today's pain is not wasted, it is an investment. The soreness in your body, The frustration in your mind, the discomfort in your soul are all signs that you are stretching beyond your current limits. And when limits are stretched, growth happens. That growth is what turns present pain into future pride. You will not remember the nights you avoided effort. You will remember the nights you chose to push through. You will not celebrate the times you sought comfort. You will celebrate the times you chose the hard path that forged your strength. Pride does not come from ease, it comes from knowing you conquered hardship. The very pain you resist now is the proof you will carry later that you were disciplined, focused, and relentless. When you look back, the sting of pain will be gone, but the pride of having faced it will remain. That pride becomes a source of confidence, fueling your belief that you can handle whatever comes next. Pain is temporary, but it is also transformative. It sharpens your resilience and deepens your gratitude for the rewards that follow. Tomorrow's pride cannot exist without today's struggle, and the harder the struggle, the greater the pride will be. Pain today becomes pride tomorrow, because every sacrifice you make now becomes the evidence of your strength and the foundation of your future victories. Difficult tasks have a way of pushing you into territory you never knew existed within yourself, forcing you to reach deeper than comfort ever would. When faced with something that seems beyond your current ability, your mind and body naturally search for new levels of strength, creativity, and endurance. These hidden reserves remain locked when life is easy, but the moment difficulty arrives, they begin to surface. The truth is, you never truly know what you are capable of until you are confronted with a challenge that demands more than you have ever given before. In those moments, you surprise yourself, discovering skills, ideas, and resilience that were always there, waiting for the right test to bring them out. Difficult tasks strip away the illusion of limitation. What you once believed was the edge of your ability often turns out to be just the starting point of a greater capacity. The frustration you feel in the middle of struggle is actually your potential expanding, stretching beyond its old boundaries. Each time you refuse to quit in the face of difficulty, you uncover new layers of strength that add to your confidence and transform the way you see yourself. What felt overwhelming yesterday becomes manageable today, and what feels overwhelming today will become tomorrow's victory. Hidden potential is like a well that cannot be reached without digging, and difficult tasks are the shovel that forces you to dig deeper. They demand more focus, more creativity, and more perseverance than easy tasks ever will, and through that demand, they draw out qualities you didn't know you had. This is why the people who embrace challenge grow faster than those who avoid it. Every difficult task faced is an invitation to unlock more of what lies dormant inside you. It is in the uncomfortable, demanding, and exhausting moments that you become aware of your true strength. By leaning into difficulty instead of running from it, you access levels of determination and skill that will serve you in every area of life. Difficult tasks force you to tap into hidden potential because only pressure can reveal the diamonds buried deep within you. Resistance is the signal that you are standing at the edge of growth, the invisible wall that separates who you are now from who you are meant to become. The things you resist the most, the workouts you avoid, the conversations you fear, the projects you delay, are often the exact things that carry the greatest potential to transform you. Resistance is not a stop sign, it is a compass pointing directly toward the area of your life that needs growth. When you push through it, you discover that the strength you were searching for has been waiting just beyond the barrier you feared to cross. Growth rarely happens in places of ease and comfort, because those places require no change and demand no evolution. It hides behind resistance, because resistance forces you to confront your fears, your doubts, and your excuses. Each time you step into that discomfort, you expand your capacity, proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagined. The more intense the resistance, the more meaningful the growth on the other side. Avoiding resistance may feel safe, but it also keeps you stuck, repeating the same patterns without progress. Facing it, however, reshapes you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Think of resistance as the weight in the gym of life. Without the weight, your muscles never grow, but with it you build power and endurance. Similarly, the resistance you face in life strengthens your mind, your discipline, and your character. Every act of pushing through turns weakness into ability and fear into confidence. The path of least resistance may offer comfort, but it offers little transformation. The greatest growth is always hidden behind your greatest resistance, because resistance is the guardian of change. It tests your commitment, asking if you are willing to endure discomfort for the sake of becoming better. Those who choose to face it find breakthroughs, opportunities, and strength they never thought possible. The walls you resist are not there to block you, but to shape you, and once you break through them, you realize they were never as strong as you thought. They were only waiting for your courage to dissolve them. Winners are not defined by luck or talent alone, but by their willingness to step into discomfort long before others even consider it. While most people wait for the perfect time, the right mood, or a guarantee of success, winners dive into the hard, the uncertain, and the uncomfortable. They understand that discomfort is not a barrier but a training ground, a place where growth, discipline, and resilience are forged. By embracing it early, they separate themselves from the crowd, building strength while others are still negotiating with fear. This is why winners often appear unstoppable. They have conditioned themselves to do what others avoid. Discomfort is the price of entry for progress, and winners pay it willingly because they know the rewards on the other side are worth it. They don't wait for motivation to strike, they create it by taking action when it feels hardest. In those moments of discomfort, they discover lessons, skills, and confidence that no easy path could ever provide. While others are paralyzed by hesitation, winners are moving forward, and each step through discomfort gives them momentum that compounds over time. By the time the rest finally decide to act, winners have already built the habits, resilience, and clarity needed to keep advancing. What makes winners unique is not that they feel less fear or pain, but that they refuse to let those feelings dictate their choices. They embrace discomfort because they understand that comfort zones shrink potential, while discomfort expands it. Every challenge they step into becomes an opportunity to prove their strength and stretch their limits. This habit of choosing discomfort first creates an edge that compounds daily, turning ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Winners embrace discomfort before anyone else dares because they know success is not waiting in the safe zone. It is hiding inside the very struggles most people run from. They lean into the pain, the resistance, and the unknown, knowing that each uncomfortable choice today lays the foundation for victory tomorrow. By seeking discomfort, they find freedom, because discomfort is where transformation begins and where true winners are made. Doing hard things first is a discipline that builds momentum, resilience, and an inner strength that compounds over time until you feel unstoppable. The tasks that weigh heaviest on your mind are often the ones that matter most, and by tackling them at the start, you free yourself from the drag of procrastination. Instead of carrying the burden of avoidance all day, you face it, overcome it, and use that victory as fuel for everything else that follows. Each time you begin with the hardest task, you train your mind to lean into discomfort rather than escape it, and that conditioning transforms the way you approach every challenge in life. When you take on the hardest work first, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than convenience and ease. This proof builds unshakable confidence because it shows you that no task, no matter how daunting, can control you if you choose to act. Over time, this practice becomes a habit, and habits create identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids pressure and start seeing yourself as someone who thrives under it. That shift in self-image makes you unstoppable because your power no longer depends on circumstances. It comes from within. Doing hard things first also sharpens your focus. The early hours of the day often carry the most energy and clarity, and when you dedicate that energy to the hardest challenge, you maximize your potential. The rest of your tasks feel lighter, faster, and easier because the weight of the day has already been lifted. What once required hesitation becomes automatic, and what once drained you now empowers you. This discipline compounds over weeks, months, and years, turning you into someone who not only faces difficulty, but seeks it as the path to growth. Each time you choose the hard thing first, you are not just completing a task, you are training yourself to be relentless, decisive, and resilient. Eventually, challenges that once felt overwhelming no longer intimidate you, because you have built the habit of overcoming them at the start. Doing hard things first makes you unstoppable later, because it turns fear into fuel, hesitation into momentum, and difficulty into undeniable strength. Fear is often misunderstood as a signal to turn back, when in truth it is a compass pointing directly toward what matters most. The very things that make your heart race, your hands sweat, and your mind question your ability are often the opportunities with the greatest power to shape your life. Fear arises when something has meaning, when the stakes are high enough to stretch you, and when growth is waiting on the other side. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't feel it. That's why fear should not be seen as an enemy, but as a guide showing you where you need to go. The path that excites and terrifies you is usually the one capable of transforming you. Whether it's starting a new venture, speaking in front of others, or making a bold life decision, the presence of fear signals significance. It tells you that this moment has the potential to pull you out of your comfort zone and into a place where you discover what you are truly capable of. Running from that fear only strengthens its hold on you, while facing it dissolves its power and reveals the strength you've had all along. Fear sharpens awareness. It wakes you up, forces you to pay attention, and heightens your focus. Instead of seeing it as a barrier, you can use it as energy to fuel your actions. Many of life's greatest achievements are born in the moments when fear was present, but courage was greater. When you learn to lean into that feeling instead of avoiding it, you discover doors that comfort would never have opened. Every fear you face becomes proof that you can handle uncertainty, discomfort, and risk. Each victory, no matter how small, builds a deeper trust in yourself. This trust becomes the foundation of confidence, resilience, and purpose. Following fear doesn't mean chasing danger. It means pursuing the very challenges that align with your deepest values and dreams. Fear is a compass pointing toward what matters most, and when you choose to follow it, you step onto the path of growth, fulfillment, and true freedom. Strength is not born from comfort or ease. It is carved out through effort, struggle, and persistence in the face of difficulty. Ease may feel pleasant in the moment, but it never challenges you, never forces you to dig deeper, and never calls upon the reserves of resilience that lie hidden within you. Effort, on the other hand, demands something from you. It asks for focus, discipline, patience, and sacrifice. It stretches your limits and often leaves you exhausted, but it also leaves you stronger, sharper, and more capable than before. True strength is not gifted, it is forged in the fires of effort. When life is easy, growth stalls. Muscles don't build without resistance, just as character doesn't develop without challenge. Imagine lifting a weight that is light and effortless. You gain nothing because your body is not tested. Now think of lifting a weight that pushes you to your limit. That effort tears the muscle so it can rebuild stronger than before. The same principle applies to the mind and spirit. Every effort you put into difficult tasks, every challenge you willingly embrace, creates a stronger version of yourself. Effort transforms you because it requires you to rise above excuses and confront the discomfort that most people run from. Strength is not found in the avoidance of difficulty, but in leaning into it. Effort teaches you persistence when progress feels slow. It teaches you resilience when setbacks appear. It forces you to sharpen your focus and develop patience when outcomes don't come immediately. These qualities cannot be learned in moments of ease because ease never tests you. Only effort can reveal what you are truly capable of. The more effort you are willing to give, the more strength you unlock. Effort also builds a deep sense of pride and confidence. There is a unique fulfillment that comes from knowing you pushed yourself even when it was hard, even when quitting seemed tempting. That inner knowing becomes a source of strength that no one can take from you. It reminds you that you can endure, that you can keep going, and that you are capable of far more than you once believed. Ease never gives you this gift because it demands nothing of you. Effort gives it freely because it asks for everything in return. Every challenge you embrace, every obstacle you face, every hardship you work through is a form of effort that makes you unshakable. Strength is not about avoiding difficulty, but about meeting it with determination and refusing to back down. When you understand this, you stop searching for the easiest road and instead seek the path that demands effort, because you know that is where the real growth lies. Strength is not found in ease but in effort, and effort is what transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Hard beginnings often feel like a burden, but in truth they are the foundation of powerful endings. Every great story starts with struggle, uncertainty, and the weight of obstacles that seem impossible to overcome. The early stages are where doubt is strongest and progress feels slowest, yet it is in these moments that resilience is built. The harder the beginning, the stronger the foundation for everything that follows. When you learn to endure those early trials, you prepare yourself for victories that are far greater than anything comfort or ease could ever deliver. Hard beginnings are the training ground where champions are forged. At the start of any meaningful journey, the path feels steep and unrelenting. Learning a new skill feels overwhelming, building a new habit feels frustrating, and pursuing a big dream feels intimidating. It is in these early moments that most people quit, mistaking difficulty for impossibility. But those who push through, those who choose persistence over surrender, begin to notice something powerful happening within themselves. Each day they continue. The effort becomes a little less heavy, the obstacles feel a little more manageable, and the confidence in their ability grows. The hard beginning starts to transform into unstoppable momentum. What makes hard beginnings so valuable is not just the progress you eventually achieve, but the strength and character you develop along the way. Struggle sharpens discipline, setbacks cultivate patience, obstacles build resilience. All of these qualities become the tools that carry you through to the ending, ensuring that when the moment of triumph arrives, it is not luck but the result of perseverance. The harder the start, the deeper the appreciation when success finally comes, because you know what it cost and how much strength it took to reach that point. Powerful endings are born out of the perseverance forged in difficult starts. The student who struggled to understand eventually becomes the expert. The athlete who endured painful training becomes the champion. The entrepreneur who faced rejection after rejection becomes the visionary leader. None of these powerful endings would exist without the hard beginnings that tested and refined them. Difficulty at the start is not a sign to stop. It is proof that the journey is worth taking. When you accept that hard beginnings create powerful endings, you stop resenting the struggle and start embracing it as part of the process. You begin to see obstacles not as barriers, but as stepping stones. Every difficult start becomes an opportunity to grow stronger, to sharpen your will, and to prepare for the success waiting at the finish line. Hard beginnings are not curses, they are blessings in disguise, shaping you into the person capable of achieving extraordinary outcomes and ensuring that your ending is not just powerful but unforgettable. Challenges are not placed in your path to break you, but to test the edges of what you believe you are capable of. They confront you with resistance, forcing you to stretch beyond comfort and question the limits you've set for yourself. Every challenge whispers the same truth: you are stronger than you think, and the boundaries you see are not walls but thresholds waiting to be crossed. When you face a challenge, you meet the line between who you are now and who you have the potential to become, and with each step forward, that line moves further out, expanding your capacity. In moments of challenge, doubt often rises louder than belief. The voice in your mind tells you that the task is too great, the pain too heavy, the uncertainty too overwhelming. Yet, when you push through despite that doubt, something extraordinary happens. You realize that your limits were illusions created by fear and comfort. Each challenge conquered becomes living proof that you are capable of more, and that realization shifts your perspective forever. What once seemed impossible becomes achievable, and what once intimidated you becomes familiar ground. Challenges do not just test strength, they build it. Like weights in the gym, their purpose is to apply pressure that forces growth. Without resistance, muscles never grow, and without challenges, neither do character, resilience, nor courage. Each obstacle sharpens focus, deepens patience, and strengthens discipline. These qualities remain with you long after the challenge itself has passed, becoming part of who you are. Challenges shape you into someone capable of carrying greater responsibilities, facing bigger risks, and pursuing bolder dreams. When you embrace challenges, you stop seeing them as enemies and begin to view them as opportunities. They are invitations to step into the unknown, to discover hidden strengths, and to build unshakable confidence. Every time you endure difficulty, you add another layer of resilience that prepares you for the next test. Eventually, you begin to welcome challenges because you understand that with each one, your capacity grows. You are no longer the same person who began the journey. You are stronger, wiser, and more prepared for whatever lies ahead. Challenges test your limits, but more importantly, they expand them. They turn weaknesses into strengths, fears into courage, and hesitation into decisive action. Without them, life would remain stagnant, predictable, and small. With them, life becomes a journey of growth and discovery, where every test is a chance to rise higher. The very obstacles you once wished away become the stepping stones to greatness, showing you that your true limits are far beyond what you imagined, and that every challenge is simply a doorway to a larger version of yourself. Procrastination is one of the most silent but destructive thieves of life. It doesn't come with loud alarms or visible chains, yet it robs you of the one thing you can never get back: time. Every delayed decision, every postponed action, every excuse made in the name of waiting for the right moment slowly drains away opportunities that could have changed your future. What procrastination really does is keep you trapped in a cycle of hesitation, where days blur into weeks and weeks into years, leaving behind a trail of regret for what could have been. Time lost to procrastination is time surrendered forever. Courage, on the other hand, gives time back to you in ways procrastination never can. The moment you choose courage over delay, you reclaim the hours that fear and doubt once controlled. Taking action, even imperfectly, moves you forward and creates momentum. Courage shortens the distance between where you are and where you want to be because it replaces waiting with doing. When you act with courage, you not only use your time more effectively, but you also expand the possibilities available within that time. Opportunities open, progress compounds, and the future bends in your favor because you chose to act instead of stall. Procrastination feeds on comfort, convincing you that tomorrow will be easier, safer, or more convenient, but tomorrow rarely brings what procrastination promises. Instead, it builds more pressure, more unfinished work, and more anxiety about what remains undone. The task itself doesn't disappear. It grows heavier the longer it is avoided. Courage does the opposite. It faces the weight today, lightens the burden, and frees your mind for new challenges. By choosing courage, you not only complete the task at hand, but also build resilience that makes future tasks easier to confront. Time expands for those who act boldly, because each courageous step creates new opportunities that procrastination could never uncover. The person who dares to start the business, write the book, or take the leap discovers doors that hesitation would have left hidden. Courage multiplies your options while procrastination narrows them. The truth is, time feels abundant when you are moving with purpose, but it feels scarce when you are stuck in avoidance. Every day offers you a choice: to let procrastination steal your hours or to let courage create them. The difference between wasted time and meaningful time lies in the decision to act. Courage does not erase fear or uncertainty, but it moves forward anyway, and in doing so, it gives you the power to shape your hours rather than lose them. Procrastination steals time, but courage creates it, and with every act of courage, you take back control of your life and expand the possibilities of what you can achieve. The way you begin your day often determines how the rest of it unfolds, and nothing sets a stronger foundation than securing a hard win right from the start. The first hard win is not about something small or convenient. It's about choosing the task you've been avoiding, the one that feels heavy, the one that requires discipline and focus. When you conquer that challenge early, you send a powerful message to yourself: you are in control, you are capable, and you are ready to dominate everything that follows. That single victory shifts your mindset from hesitation to momentum, giving the entire day a different energy. The first hard win creates psychological leverage. Most people start their day with ease, delaying the hardest work for later. But this only creates a cloud of dread that lingers in the background. By tackling the hardest thing first, you clear the weight from your shoulders and free your mind to focus fully on everything else. It's like breaking through the thickest wall at the beginning of a journey. Once it's behind you, the rest of the path feels lighter, smoother, and more manageable. That sense of accomplishment fuels motivation, and motivation fuels productivity. Hard wins also build confidence in a way that easy tasks cannot. Checking off something simple gives a momentary sense of progress, but overcoming something difficult leaves a lasting impact. It reminds you that you can handle pressure, discomfort, and resistance. That reminder becomes a shield against excuses later in the day. When new challenges appear, you can face them with the confidence of someone who has already proven their strength. One hard win reinforces the belief that you are not controlled by procrastination or fear. You are driven by purpose and action. Momentum is the secret weapon that the first hard win provides. Success is not just about effort, but about compounding energy, and nothing multiplies energy faster than starting strong. That single choice to face difficulty head-on triggers a chain reaction: more focus, more discipline, more productivity, and more victories. By the time others are still easing into their day, you are already building progress that will carry you further than you imagined. The first hard win sets the tone because it aligns your actions with your highest standards. It reminds you that you are here to rise, not to drift. It shows you that each day is an opportunity to conquer, not to coast. When you make it a habit to start with hard wins, you stop waiting for the right conditions and instead create them. Your mornings become a launchpad for greatness, and your evenings become reflections of progress. The first hard win sets the tone for the day because it transforms ordinary hours into extraordinary momentum and ensures that no matter what happens, you started by proving your strength. Hard tasks are the dividing line between those who step into leadership and those who remain in the safety of following. Most people avoid what is difficult, gravitating toward what is simple, comfortable, and risk-free. But it is in the moments when the task seems too heavy, too complex, or too demanding that leaders rise. Leaders are not simply the ones with titles or authority. They are the ones who choose to take on the challenges that others would rather escape. They carry the weight that others refuse, and in doing so, they earn respect, trust, and influence. Followers may admire them, but what truly separates them is their willingness to face the hard tasks head-on. Hard tasks require courage, and courage is the essence of leadership. Anyone can take action when the outcome is easy, the path is clear, and the risk is low. But leaders emerge when the situation is uncertain, the pressure is high, and the stakes are significant. Followers wait for direction, hoping someone else will step forward, while leaders step into the unknown, accepting the discomfort that comes with responsibility. They do not shy away from the tasks that test endurance, focus, and resilience, because they know those very challenges are the ones that shape growth and create transformation. Hard tasks also demand vision. A follower often focuses on immediate comfort or ease, while a leader looks beyond the struggle to see the long-term reward. Leaders understand that the hard thing now often becomes the breakthrough later. They accept the temporary pain of effort because they see the lasting power of progress. Followers, by contrast, may avoid the pain altogether, missing out on the opportunity for growth and settling for mediocrity. Leadership is built on the ability to endure short-term struggle in exchange for long-term impact, and that mindset is cultivated only through consistently choosing hard tasks. Taking on difficult challenges also builds credibility. Words alone never inspire people for long. It is action that earns trust. When others see someone willing to take the path of resistance, to shoulder the work no one else wants, they naturally recognize them as a leader. Hard tasks become proof of character. They reveal discipline, determination, and resilience. Followers may talk about what should be done, but leaders demonstrate it by doing. And each time a leader completes a hard task, they expand their influence because people naturally gravitate toward those who can do what few are willing to attempt. Hard tasks forge resilience, and resilience is another defining quality of leadership. Followers collapse under pressure because they have not trained themselves to endure difficulty. Leaders, however, thrive in adversity because they have built strength through repeated exposure to challenges. They view obstacles not as deterrents, but as opportunities to prove their capacity. Every hard task completed is like armor added to their character, making them unshakable in the face of future trials. This ability to endure when others falter sets them apart as the ones others look to in times of uncertainty. Ultimately, hard tasks are not just about getting work done, they are about transformation. They reveal who is willing to step into discomfort, who is willing to sacrifice ease for impact, and who is willing to lead when it is inconvenient. Followers seek the path of least resistance, but leaders carve new paths through resistance itself. Leaders are remembered not for the easy things they accomplished, but for the difficult challenges they embraced and conquered. Hard tasks separate leaders from followers because they demand courage, vision, resilience, and action. The very qualities that define leadership itself. Resistance shows up the moment you decide to pursue something meaningful. It is that invisible force that whispers reasons to delay, tempts you with distractions, and convinces you that comfort is safer than challenge. Resistance is not random. It appears precisely because you are stepping toward growth, and it exists to test whether you truly want what you say you want. Every dream, every goal, every ambition has a gate, and standing at that gate is resistance. Most people see it as a wall and turn back, but those who understand its purpose recognize it as a gatekeeper, one that must be pushed through to claim the rewards on the other side. The truth is that resistance is never stronger than you. It only feels that way because it preys on hesitation and fear. When you allow doubt to take root, resistance gains power. It thrives on delay, feeding on procrastination, excuses, and avoidance. Yet the moment you act, even in the smallest way, resistance weakens. Action is the antidote, and pushing through is the proof that you will not be stopped by discomfort. Each time you move despite resistance, you build momentum, and with momentum comes confidence. The gatekeeper does not vanish, but it loses its power to hold you back. Success demands that you confront resistance again and again. Every new level of growth brings a new form of it, whether it is fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of the unknown. This is why so few people rise to extraordinary heights. They retreat at the first sign of resistance instead of seeing it as confirmation that they are on the right path. Resistance never guards empty pursuits. It only shows up to protect what matters. The bigger the goal, the stronger the resistance, which means the very presence of resistance is evidence that you are moving towards something significant. Those who achieve greatness are not free from resistance. They simply refuse to surrender to it. They push through early in the morning when excuses sound convincing. They push through fatigue, doubt, and setbacks because they know resistance is part of the process, not a reason to stop. Each time they overcome it, they expand their capacity, proving to themselves that no barrier is permanent. Over time, they become conditioned to meet resistance with determination instead of hesitation, and that shift transforms them into unstoppable forces. Resistance, in truth, is a gift. It is the filter that separates those who are interested from those who are committed. Anyone can dream, anyone can plan, but only those who act, despite resistance, earn the rewards of success. Pushing through it builds not just achievements but character, discipline, and resilience. It forces you to dig deeper, to sharpen your focus, and to strengthen your will. Without resistance, success would hold no value, because it is the struggle that gives meaning to the victory. When you face resistance, you are standing at the threshold of growth. It is the gatekeeper asking you to prove how much you want the life you envision. Most will retreat, but those who push through will find themselves on the other side, living with strength, freedom, and fulfillment that only persistence can unlock. Resistance is the gatekeeper of success. Push-through greatness is not built in the spotlight, but in the quiet moments when you choose to do what others avoid. Most people seek the path of least resistance, chasing comfort, convenience, and tasks that feel familiar. They leave behind the work that feels uncomfortable, the sacrifices that require discipline, and the challenges that demand resilience. Yet it is in those very places, where effort is heavy and the reward is distant, that greatness is born. The decision to step into what others neglect is what separates ordinary from extraordinary, because the road to greatness is never crowded. It is walked only by those willing to do what most will not. What others avoid often holds the most value. Waking up early to put in the extra work, committing to consistency when motivation fades, embracing rejection on the path to mastery, all of these are avoided because they demand discomfort. But those who lean into discomfort discover growth that comfort can never offer. Each avoided task completed becomes a competitive edge, stacking small advantages day after day until they transform into unstoppable momentum. Greatness is not one grand act, but the accumulation of small, difficult choices that others repeatedly refuse to make. Doing what others avoid also builds character. It trains discipline, sharpens focus, and strengthens resilience. When you do what others won't, you teach yourself that your actions are not dictated by feelings or convenience, but by commitment. Over time, this identity shift becomes the foundation of confidence. You stop asking whether you can handle challenges because you've already proven that you can. That quiet self-belief is what makes leaders, innovators, and visionaries stand apart. They have earned the right to trust themselves through their willingness to face what most people fear. The beauty of doing what others avoid is that it compounds. At first, the difference may seem small. One person avoids the workout while you complete it. One person skips the hard conversation while you face it. One person delays their dream while you take the first step. These differences may seem insignificant in the moment, but over weeks, months, and years, they create a gap so wide it becomes impossible to ignore. That gap is where greatness lies, not in talent or luck, but in the relentless decision to take on the avoided tasks that shape strength and success. Greatness also requires vision, the ability to see beyond the discomfort of today into the reward of tomorrow. Others avoid because they are focused on the immediate cost, but those who achieve greatness focus on the long-term payoff. They are willing to endure difficulty now because they understand it leads to freedom, mastery, and impact later. Every avoided task is an opportunity, and those with vision seize it, knowing it will separate them from the masses who chose the easy way out. Doing what others avoid is not glamorous, and it often goes unnoticed in the moment. But over time, it builds a life defined by achievements, strength, and fulfillment that others can only admire from afar. Greatness is not about being chosen or gifted. It is about choosing every day to face what most people run from. It begins with the decision to embrace the hard, the uncomfortable, and the avoided, because in those hidden corners lies the power to rise above average and create something extraordinary. The difficult path is never the most appealing at first glance. It is filled with uncertainty, discomfort, and obstacles that test your patience and determination. Most people shy away from it, seeking shortcuts, easy wins, or the safety of the familiar. Yet what they fail to realize is that the future version of themselves they dream of becoming is not found in the easy route. It is waiting on the difficult path, the one that requires sacrifice, persistence, and a willingness to endure. Growth never happens in comfort, and the life you envision for yourself cannot be created without walking through struggle. The difficult path forces you to confront your fears and insecurities. Each challenge along the way acts like a mirror, revealing the excuses and limitations you've carried for too long. While the easy path allows you to stay the same, the hard one demands that you change, adapt, and evolve. With every obstacle you overcome, you leave behind pieces of the weaker version of yourself and step closer to the stronger, wiser, and more resilient future self. It is through the very trials you would rather avoid that you build the identity capable of holding the success you desire. When you choose the difficult path, you are choosing growth over comfort. You are telling yourself that your goals and dreams matter more than your excuses. That decision, repeated consistently, compounds into a transformation that cannot be achieved any other way. The future self you are chasing, the confident, disciplined, fulfilled version of you, is not waiting in the shadows of ease but at the summit of difficulty. Each step up the steep climb prepares you for the weight of responsibility, the test of resilience, and the joy of victory that only the difficult path can provide. The difficult path also expands your vision. Struggles teach lessons that ease cannot. Failures on this road sharpen your wisdom, setbacks strengthen your patience, and resistance trains your discipline. These qualities are not just useful for achieving goals, they become part of who you are. By the time you meet your future self at the end of the difficult path, you are not just someone who has achieved success. You are someone who has earned it. The struggles that once seemed unbearable become the very reasons you stand taller and stronger. What makes the difficult path so powerful is that it strips away illusions. It reveals the truth about what you are capable of, showing you that you can endure more than you thought possible. Each mile traveled proves that fear is weaker than courage, that procrastination is weaker than discipline, and that doubt is weaker than belief. The future self you imagine, the one with clarity, strength, and freedom, is only possible because of the battles you fight on the hard road. Without those battles, that version of you never comes alive. The difficult path is where your future self is waiting, because only in difficulty do you become the person worthy of the life you dream about. It is the testing ground that shapes your character, sharpens your mind, and builds your resilience. The path may be steep, but every step forward is an investment in the person you are becoming. And when you finally meet that future self, you will realize that every moment of struggle was the very thing that made you ready to live the life you were destined for. Do the hard things first, and life bends in your favor, because the way you begin determines the way everything else unfolds. Hard things carry weight, they demand more energy, focus, and courage, and because of that they become the mental roadblocks we tend to avoid. Yet the truth is, postponing them only magnifies their difficulty. while facing them immediately strips away their power. When you wake up and decide to confront the hardest task before anything else, you send a powerful signal to yourself and to life you are in control, not your fears, not your doubts, not your procrastination. That choice sets a tone of victory that shapes the rest of the day. Life has a way of rewarding those who choose to lean into difficulty instead of running from it. Doing the hard things first creates momentum, and momentum is the silent force that carries you forward when motivation runs out. Once you tackle the mountain at the start, the hills that follow feel smaller, easier, and less intimidating. Your mind becomes sharper, your confidence expands, and suddenly the rest of your responsibilities seem manageable. The discipline of confronting the hardest challenge gives you a sense of accomplishment that no amount of ease can replicate. It creates proof within yourself that you are capable of overcoming resistance, and that proof becomes fuel for everything else you do. The hard things are not just tasks, they are gateways to growth. They require skills you have not yet mastered, patience you have not yet cultivated, and strength you have not yet realized. By choosing them first, you accelerate your development because struggle is the fastest teacher. You learn how to handle discomfort, how to push through uncertainty, and how to adapt when plans don't go your way. These lessons shape your character in ways that comfort never could. The easy tasks may keep you busy, but they rarely transform you. It is the difficult ones that elevate you, that separate those who merely get by from those who rise. When you consistently choose to do the hard things first, you create a powerful ripple effect. People notice. Opportunities align. Life seems to bend in your favor not because challenges disappear, but because you become the kind of person who thrives in the face of them. You develop a reputation for discipline, reliability, and courage, qualities that attract trust and respect. More doors open because the world responds to those who prove themselves, willing to take on the burdens others avoid. The very act of facing difficulty first makes life unfold with more flow and alignment. Because you are no longer living reactively, you are shaping your reality with deliberate choices. The secret is that life rewards the brave, not the reckless, but the ones who look at what is hardest and still step forward. By doing the hard things first, you teach yourself that discomfort is not a barrier, but a compass, pointing you toward the areas that matter most. You realize that avoidance only creates more pain, while action dissolves fear and builds strength. The hardest things often hold the greatest rewards, and by moving through them early, you unlock those rewards faster. Life bends in your favor because you stop resisting it and instead embrace the very challenges designed to shape you. Every day offers you a chance to decide how your life will bend. Will it bend under the weight of avoidance, excuses, and procrastination, or will it bend in your favor because you chose to carry the heaviest load first? The choice is always yours, and with each morning that you take on the hardest thing before all else, you claim more control, more growth, and more alignment with the life you are meant to create. Every lesson you've heard in this audiobook comes down to one timeless truth. The quality of your life is shaped by the quality of the choices you make when faced with difficulty. Hard things are not punishments. They are opportunities disguised as resistance. They are the gateways to strength, growth, and freedom. Every moment you decide to lean into discomfort instead of retreating to ease, you are building the foundation of the person you are destined to become. Do hard things first, and you take control of your day instead of letting the day control you. Do hard things first, and you silence the weight of procrastination while multiplying your confidence. Do hard things first, and you create momentum that carries you further than motivation ever could. Every act of courage compounds, and every conquered challenge becomes proof of your strength. The world doesn't reward avoidance, it rewards action. The path of greatness is not paved with easy choices. It is built through the fires of discipline, sacrifice, and persistence. By walking into resistance, you discover hidden potential. By embracing pain, you create pride. By choosing the hard road now, you create the life that feels easier later. Remember this: comfort zones kill dreams, but discomfort builds destiny. Life bends in the direction of your courage. Each time you step into the hard first, you are not only moving closer to your goals, you are becoming unstoppable. So, as you move forward, carry this truth with you. Your future self is waiting at the end of the difficult path, and every hard thing you face is the key that unlocks that door.